And a very good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, some of the topics we'll touch on. The St. John Flames head home after a fairly successful road trip. Lennox Lewis is crowned the unified champ, and Wayne Gretzky is headed to the Hall of Fame. All that and a whole lot more, so no flipping. Stay right there. And a very good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Certainly hope you had yourself a great weekend. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to sit down and have a chat with us this weekend. Nice to welcome back into the studio Bruce McDonald. Bruce, how was your weekend?
Very busy, Jim.
Very busy weekend.
Lots of hockey and so on. You know, very, very busy.
Certainly was a lot of hockey. We'll start as we normally do this time of the year. We'll start with the St. John Flames. Had a fairly successful weekend. They won a rematch of the Calder Cup final on Friday night. Back in '98, of course, they took on the Philadelphia Phantoms in Philadelphia. They won that game 5-2, I believe.
5-3 final,
5-3 final. Saturday night, they took it on the chin, 3-1 loss to the Ducks, but then rebounded yesterday for a real nice win, 4-1. Just a couple of notes to mention. Freddie Brathwaite has been recalled by the parent club in Calgary. You knew that he wasn't going to be staying here too long. Jean-Sebastien Giguère has been brought back here to St. John, and Mike Valigna has been sent back to the East Coast Hockey League. Of course, we're discussing the Johnstown Chiefs. Pretty successful weekend to take 2 out of 3. I mean, they had just an ungodly road schedule for the past 3 weeks. They're going to be playing a couple of games here at home, ironically enough, against those Cincinnati Mighty Ducks again. Just kind of give us your overview of the weekend that's gone by with the Flames.
Well, if I'm a Flames fan, which I am, I think you have to be very happy with the 2-win, 1-loss weekend.
Sure.
And actually, their last 7 games have been on the road, and they went 4-2-1. So that's very good. I mean, they're up into second place in the division now, 5 points behind Quebec, but with 4 games in hand. So they're looking pretty strong right now.
Sitting in a real nice spot. And you read Brad James's article in the Evening Times Globe on Thursday, I think it was. The road trip got off to a bit of a rocky start. The team, some of the gear got lost. They couldn't practice that day when they got into Philadelphia. Rick Vive went to go to his hotel room to take a little rest and get the mind cleared up after all this went on. 2.5-hour delay at the airport. He goes to get into his room. I'm sorry, Mr. Vive, this isn't your room. We're going to have to find you someplace else. So it's the little things like that that you think, well, you know, yeah, there are setbacks, but what are you going to do? But, I mean, it does throw a team's chemistry off. It's nice to see them bounce back and be able to win 2 out of 3 games. No question about that.
That's right. And like you say, Brathwaite did the job here on the weekend. We knew he was only here for the weekend. I got just like that one little thing in the Rocky watch. Rocky had an assist on the weekend, so that gives him 4 points now.
Certainly doing much better than some of the other enforcers that were brought in here and have played in St. John over the past couple of years. Let's stay with the Flames, I guess, but on a different level, AAA midget Flames. Ivan Votour and the boys are not having the successful season that they've been accustomed to over the past couple of years, still without a win. The Monktonian is coming up this weekend, and maybe that'll give them a little bit of a chance or a breather, I guess, more than anything to regroup. You play in a tournament like that, I mean, obviously you want to win. Every team that goes out on the ice wants to win, but maybe this is a chance just, you know, for Ivan to tell the boys, Greg Leland to say, look, guys, you know, we've gotten off to a rough start. Let's get into this tournament. Let's play some tough hockey, and maybe we can turn things around when we get back into the schedule.
Maybe so. I missed the Friday game. They lost to Fredericton on last Friday, 10-3. A tough one. I happened to get over and catch the game against Campbellton on Saturday afternoon, and they actually looked pretty good in that game. They don't have any natural goal scorers there. They stuck with Campbellton, and then to be honest, I think their goaltender let them down a little bit late. They get back in the game, and right afterwards they can reach down and boom, score, and that really deflates the team quickly there. So, but they're 0-11-1 now, and that's approaching the halfway point of the year now. So. So they have to get this thing turned around quick if they're going to get anything out of this year at all.
Well, it's like Ivan and Greg said right from the start. This was going to be a rebuilding year. It might take a couple of years to get back to the pinnacle where they were playing in the Atlantic Championships a few years back. But they're missing a lot of key players. You know, a lot of people want to play Tier 2 in Ontario. You know, and just when you decimate a lineup like that, especially when you think, well, maybe I can hold on to them for one more year. and then all of a sudden they're gone. You got to build right up. So we wish Ivan and Greg and the AAA Midget Flames all the best. Junior B hockey, of course, close to your heart now. A couple of games on the weekend. Friday was one of those games that I think it had a little more hype than, a little more bark than the bite.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
St. John against Sussex in Sussex. It was their home opener. And just give us the overview. You were there. How did things break down?
It was, to be honest, I think it was a bit of a disappointing game for St. John. We went up there more or less expecting to win, I think, and it didn't happen. We lost the game 6-3. Our goaltending wasn't that great that night from Ryan Steele. He'll be the first to admit it. He can play better than that. And like I say, we expected maybe some fisticuffs up there. Nothing really developed. It was a bit of a lackluster game, in my opinion. There wasn't a huge crowd there, probably 300 or 400 people. But I guess the word we can use for St. John is disappointing in that one.
Sure. And then Saturday night you have to come back home and play Rishabukto, and that didn't get off to the best of starts either.
No, we fell behind 4-0 late in the second period. Rishabukto looked really good at that point. Then all of a sudden they decided they wanted to try to tear everybody's head off at that point, and we had Corey Norris has a broken jaw now out of that game, and we had a few other guys. One guy with a concussion, Robbie Garvin, and it wasn't good. I mean, they really started running, and Corey Cassidy, the referee, I guess did what he could to keep it under control, but it's tough. Our coach got a gross misconduct. He hurled the water ball across the ice. Got him real nice in the leg on one bounce.
Got upset? No, I don't believe that.
One bounce too. It looked like he must have learned that one in Sweden, I think. One bounce, just nice arc on it, and just boop right into his leg.
Well, curling season is coming up, so
so he'll be gone for a few for that one. So,
yeah. Wow, that's a tough way to get things started.
But you know, we have Sussex coming in this Saturday, and we're hoping to bounce back and get our first win there. The teams work so hard; it's incredible, and they deserve better right now.
Yeah, it's hard when you know that the effort's there, especially when you're in the coach's position.
That's right.
You're there for the practices. You see these guys working so hard and just can't seem to get that first win. So, makes things tough. But we wish them all the best. Of course, Saturday night's going to be a good matchup. St. John against Sussex. Everybody always looks forward to it. Game time is 7 o'clock at the LBR.
That's right, 7 o'clock LBR.
Ticket prices?
Ticket prices are $4 for adults, and I believe it's $2 for students, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a great bargain, you know. I mean, you can't get anything for $4 nowadays. 3 hours of entertainment.
Certainly can't.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a real good price. So make sure you get down there and support the local hockey. The Junior B boys taking on the Sussex Western Stars Saturday night, 7 o'clock at the LBR. Let's make the leap to the NHL. Interesting story came across the newswire while I was at the other office this morning. Mario Lemieux is now the owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he said that when Canadian teams visit the Igloo, they're going to have a 2-for-1 night. So that means when Montreal, Ottawa, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto all visit the Igloo, he's going to give away tickets at a 2-for-1 price because he feels that the Canadian teams aren't drawing the crowds, and he's trying to build this team back up. What do you think of this?
Well, I mean,
Mario being a Canadian boy now.
I mean, you can't tell me the Montreal Canadiens don't draw anywhere. The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Toronto Maple Leafs don't draw anybody?
Give me a break.
Yeah.
I mean, Calgary maybe, yes. Edmonton in the States, possibly. Even Ottawa. The Americans don't know that Ottawa is the capital of Canada, so, I mean, but Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal have to draw as well as anybody down there. That's a joke, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, send Mario back to the Quebec League or something, eh? I mean,
that's what he said. I'm just telling you what
I don't know where that shocks me. I don't know where that's coming from. You can't tell me Toronto and Montreal would not outdraw Phoenix in Pittsburgh? Well, come on, I'd be shocked. They're Tampa Bay.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, that's a shocker.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
I think Mario might be grasping at straws. I mean, Pittsburgh's having a real rough time. The Igloo, they want to get out of there. They want a new arena built, trying to get the city to kick in some cash for there, and it just looks like they're at a stalemate right now. So, I mean, maybe he is grasping at some straws, trying to get this thing going. And
well, is Mario going to move his team to Oklahoma City? The Oklahoma City Penguins?
Well, they get Garth Brooks to sing all the anthems for him.
They draw with Nashville coming in.
Absolutely. That would draw a few faces.
Yeah.
Let's stay with the NHL. Saturday night, the late game was Calgary taking on Colorado. It was interesting to see former St. John Flame Chris Stigman, and I know you and I had a pretty good chuckle about this. Simply that he couldn't bury the biscuit when he was here in St. John, and when he was up with Calgary, same story, but he scores 2 goals against his former team, and Colorado soundly beats Calgary 5-2. So, you know, the trouble continues in Calgary. Grant Fuhr continues to look like a rookie goaltender out there. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Calgary's put all their eggs in one basket thinking that Grant Fuhr was their messiah and was going to be the one to take them to the promised land, and now they're stuck with him.
Well, you know, Grant Fuhr right now looks like Johnny Bauer, but unfortunately he's like 75 years old. So.
Ooh,
low one.
There's a shot.
Yeah. No, we talked about this countless times. I talked about it with the fans at the rink. How Chris Dingman's in the National Hockey League and Sammy Helenas and Martin St. Louis and until recently Nat Kelly weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that make sense to anybody? I mean, it's just incredible. Then Dingman's up there and he's got 4 goals now for Colorado. I mean, which body part did those 4 pounds in off is what I want to know. But the guy couldn't skate here, and how's he supposed to skate up there with those boys?
Boggles the mind.
It does boggle the mind.
Yeah.
And Sammy, you know, he's grabbing everybody in sight here. I think one of Dan's partners on defense here all year. I haven't seen him play defense up there yet, but
no.
It's impossible to think that he could keep up with anybody in the National Hockey League.
I have a hard time believing that, seeing that, you know, I mean, the guy didn't have much skating ability when he was here, so I have a hard time believing that over the past year and a half, 2 years, that Sammy Helenas has become some super power skater all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Not likely. It just goes to show you, I mean, the way the National Hockey League is now, it's size more than anything, isn't it? I mean, if you're 6'2" or 3" and weigh 240 pounds, there's a job for you there.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you can hit the broadside of a barn with a shot, right?
Yeah, exactly. So. Before we head to break, we have one more real interesting story I got down at the other office again this morning. Gary Glitter recorded a song back in 1972, Rock and Roll Part 2. And as you, being a St. John Flames fan or a hockey fan, period, know that this anthem is played in just about every arena in North America, except now for Calgary and Edmonton. Gary Glitter, last week, was sentenced to 4 months in prison for possessing child pornography, okay? Calgary Flames have gone on record, and the Edmonton Oilers have both gone on record saying they will no longer play this tune during any hockey games in their home barns. Now, the NHL has stated that they will be looking at this matter to see whether other clubs are going to jump on the bandwagon. Now, I don't mean to play light on this. Child pornography is indeed a very serious matter, but are we a little too politically correct nowadays? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in my opinion, shouldn't Calgary and Edmonton and the National Hockey League be looking at a few things maybe to draw people into the rinks instead of worrying about what songs are being played? Leave that up to their disc jockey in the booth. I mean, that's just, once again, that's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you know, I imagine there'll be a big rhubarb down here at Harbor Station this weekend, too.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because I contacted Nathan McFadden, of course, who's the communications director with our St. John Flames, and I was reading him the story, and, you know, like I said, we're not making light of child pornography here, but I was laughing about it, and then he started chuckling about it, and he said, "You've got to be kidding me." And I said, "No." I said, "I'll tell you, I'll fax you the story just to prove that I'm not making this up." I faxed it to him. He called me back again. He said, "You wrote this yourself, man. You're making this up." And I said, you know, I'm not making this up. And it's hard for me to believe. I mean, we do live in a state of political correctness. It's not mailman anymore. It's mail person. It's not delivery man anymore. It's delivery person. But there's a certain fine line that you cross, and I think that maybe that might be crossing it a little bit. Do you think?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I don't see how that affects anything that goes on in the hockey arena if you're playing a Gary Glitter song in between stoppages. I mean, you think you're going to have a big rush to the exit when that song comes on? Not likely. People don't even associate that song with him. Or covering up the children's ears, going, "No, don't listen to that. It's bad." No, that's craziness. You know? Craziness. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and of course we'll keep you posted on that Gary Glitter situation. We've got more to talk about. The second half of the show is coming up. We're going to be touching on some local football. Simon's High School, tough weekend last weekend against the Harrison Trimble Trojans. There we go. I knew the word would come to me if I had looked at Bruce. He'd fill me in. Anyway, that a whole lot more is coming up in the second half, so don't go far.
Derek Smith kicks off for the Trojans. Joe Savoy for the Seabees, who's got great speed. He's tackled on the play by Steve Cormier. 90, so they're used to putting the ball in the air. Now the money man, Joe Savoy's got the ball around the outside with blocking. He's still on his feet as he fights his way down the sidelines for a first down.
He got use of timeouts. He might be able to squeeze out 3. He's got a nice move. He's trying to get his speed back, and just a diving tackle just tripped him up.
Max Thibault, diving tackle, saves the play. There's a chance for 2 plays here. And as you mentioned, Stuart, the Trojans are going to try and make sure the goose egg stays on. Simon's going to try and get over the end zone to give themselves some points. And this is it. Full house backfield. Double tight end.
Pride involved here, both sides of the ball.
The ball goes to Muse. He drives the line, and he has a touchdown. Number 18, Roger Muse. Took 4 seconds, but they have the touchdown. No flags on the play.
And welcome back into the second half of Time Out here on TVNB. Jim Hennessy alongside Bruce McDonald. Last Wednesday night, we had a chance to take our TVNB cameras down to the LPR for the doubleheader, which is per normal on a Wednesday night. High school hockey, first game. Bit of an interesting story as to why that didn't get played.
Yeah, they had an exhibition game set up between Southern Conference team Rossay High School and St. John High School from the Southwest. And St. John High got there, and all their gear was stolen out of their dressing room. So it was a big shock to them. And
that's brutal.
I mean, they've had a tough year as it is. I mean, the team's not very strong this year, and they're struggling on the ice. And then this has to happen on top of that. I mean, I don't know how much lower it can go for that team right now.
Jeez,
they're hurting.
Well, we wish St. John High all the best. Sorry to hear about that incident. I mean, that's just one of those things that unfortunately has to happen to somebody. And on that night, it was St. John High School. Second game, though, rather interesting. St. Malachi's taking on Harborview, and close game. Into the latter periods of the latter stages of the game, I should say. Wasn't close after all.
No, it ended up 7-2 for St. Max, but that score really wasn't indicative of the game itself. It was a 0-0 tie after the first period, 3-2 after 2, and then St. Max wore them down. Those two hockey teams are very close in talent this year. The big line for St. Max of Robbie Jeffrey, Josh Ferguson, and Matt Joyce led the offense. Josh had a hat trick, and Robbie added 2. And also 2 goals for Jason Rector.
Jason Rector
scored 2 goals, so they led the offense that night.
St. Malachi's got a real good team, it looks like, this year.
Well, like I say, I mean, we have a AAA league there with Fredericton, Normunkto, Edmonton joining all the local teams from the Salt down here. I mean, the talent's spread pretty thin, to be honest. It's going to be tough for those schools to compete against the 3 upriver there.
Those northern teams, yeah.
But it's fun to watch the teams in the city play this year because they are all close in talent. Simons is right there as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I say, St. John High is the one that's really hurting this year, and of course Hampton's in with those boys too, and they're really competitive. So should be an interesting year there.
No question. Sticking with Simons, we'll do a little segue here and go to the Gridiron and the frozen tundra in Moncton last weekend. Simons taking on Harrison Trimble, and a lot of people hyping this game up. Of course, Simons went undefeated in regular season into their playoff run before they ended up in the championship game on Saturday, and didn't turn out to be much of a football game at all unless you're a Trojans fan. 34-7 was the final score. Simons did score late in the fourth quarter. What is it about Simons? I mean, that they have these great seasons. Mike Upward just continues to turn out these undefeated teams during the regular season into the early stages of their playoff run. As soon as they get to face Harrison Trimble,
I don't know if Harrison Trimble's that much stronger, or if Simons has a problem in the finals. I don't know. Maybe they tighten up or something. I really don't know the answer to that. Like I say, I didn't get a chance to go and see a lot of the football this year, but looking in the stories in the paper on the radio, they looked like a very strong team. I mean, they blew away Oromocto big time in the league semifinal.
Did they ever?
Then they go into the league final and get stomped on by Harrison Trimble. It's hard to understand what happened.
Maybe it's just the inconsistency of, I mean, you'd like to compare it to, the NFL. But, I mean, they only play every 7 days as well. So maybe it's just a culmination of things. I mean, exams coming up and stuff like that. I mean, a lot on their plate. And, you ask a lot of high school students, whether it be hockey or football or whatever the case might be, that, they put a lot into their schedule with extracurricular activities and, of course, their schoolwork and spending some time with their families, their girlfriends, their boyfriends, vice versa, whatever the case might be. So, Simons, we congratulate you on a great season. Mike Upward and the crew had a great run. And, of course, they'll be back there again next year, I'm sure, because they've got some of that core that are only in grade 10 or 11, so they're going to be flipping around for their senior year next year. So we'll watch for Simons to make a run next year. Got to go talk about boxing. I still am a boxing fan, I guess. I'm not going to say I'm not, but it just kind of saddens me a little bit to see the state that the heavyweight championship division has fallen into. Lennox Lewis over the weekend defeats Evander Holyfield. Don't think there was anybody that was really surprised to see that. Evander Holyfield, 36 years old. Lennox Lewis in the prime of his fighting career, kept that stiff jab out there. Holyfield couldn't get inside. Unanimous decision that he unifies the belts, so he now owns the WBA, WBC, and the IBF Heavyweight Championship. Now, my question to you is, a little off of the circuit. Now that he's beaten Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson is doing his own thing. He's off in Tyson land. Who's he going to fight? Who's he going to defend these belts against?
I'd like to add one little thing before I go to that. I don't think he's unified the belts yet. You didn't hear the controversy about after the fight, I take it, did you?
Obviously not.
The IBF is holding back their belt now because Don King hasn't paid a $300,000 fee. So here we go again.
See, this is why I started this conversation off with, it's making me sick. Because I'm not even going to say what I want to say, but Don King is the pimple on the butt of the boxing world, okay? And I had to bite my tongue back when I said that, but this guy has got to go. If they do not see how he can stay, and any boxing, whether it be heavyweight, middleweight, lightweight, whatever, can thrive, this guy has got to go.
This guy has to go, and like I say, I was a big boxing fan most of my life, but I'm afraid boxing's been lowered to the level of figure skating and synchronized swimming. They're these other, what I call these judge sports, where it's a joke. Lennox Lewis won the first fight between these two.
Absolutely, he did.
He beat him as bad as he did in this fight.
Yes, he did.
I mean, boxing, in the heavyweight division especially, some of the lower weight classes aren't too bad.
Not too bad.
Watching Roy Jones Jr. and Oscar La Hoya and these boys, I mean, I enjoy watching those guys fight, and it's crooked to a certain extent too, but it's all a money game, you know that.
Absolutely.
You know. But who Lennox is going to fight next? Who knows? If Mike can stay out of jail long enough, he might fight him. If not, who knows? Maybe get some guy from Africa.
Unbelievable. The circus continues, folks.
I just mean a guy from the country of Africa.
No, I know. I understand. I understand. The circus continues, and we'll keep you posted as things roll on. Wayne Gretzky, no doubt about it, the greatest hockey player to ever lace up the blades, will be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame on Saturday.
Yes.
The thing is, this week, get ready for it, because if you're not a Gretzky fan, you're going to get inundated with it over the TV, the radio, the newspapers. Everywhere you look, it's going to be Gretzky, and more Gretzky. Well-deserved, no question about it, but I don't know. A little bit of overkill, maybe. Have we seen enough of Wayne?
Yeah, I think the comment I have to make on that is when I was up in Toronto working, I got to go down to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and the Wayne Gretzky exhibit is there now.
Yeah.
It wasn't there when I got there, but I got to go into the Hockey Hall of Fame, and the funny thing about the whole thing is Wayne said to the media that his father had all the stuff in his basement. He's been following Wayne every day. He's afraid he's not going to get the stuff back, eh? But you know, like I say, he's well deserved. And I didn't like the comment he made in the interview the other day he had, where he said if the Rangers had picked up Pavel Bure, he might have stayed and played.
You were reading my mind, man.
He didn't have to say that. He didn't have to say that. I mean, he's retired. Just let it lie, right?
Do you think Neil Smith, if he, and the interesting thing about that whole interview was that he said that nobody ever asked him what it would take to make him stay and play another year. And I think that's pretty hypocritical of Wayne to say that, simply for the fact that when he announced his retirement, he said, "This is it. There's nothing that's going to make me stay another year. I just want to retire. I've had it. I played 21 years in the league. It's time to quit."
And I'll be honest, I don't think the Rangers wanted to keep him. Wayne Gretzky wasn't a great hockey player the last 2 or 3 years. Think about it. He was making about $8 million a year
somewhere in that
put up
ballpark,
70 points. I mean, the young fans don't remember Wayne in his prime when he was beyond belief.
Yeah.
The last 4 or 5 years, he wasn't nearly the player he was before. I mean, he wasn't worth $8 million a year. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I mean, they filled the rink in Madison Square Gardens. He wasn't drawing extra fans in.
No. So, Madison Square Garden will draw regardless.
18,200 every night.
Not bad. Yeah. Not bad. Let's flip to the local ball field, actually. I know baseball season's over, but some interesting news coming out of the winter meetings for the Senior League here over the weekend. They're going to make some changes, and I don't know if I agree with all of them. One change is they're bringing in the aluminum bats. No problem with that.
Wooden bats, Jim.
Wooden bats.
Wooden bats.
Sorry about that. I apologize. Got it backwards. Number 2 is they're going to change it back to 9 innings, okay? Number 3, each team is going to be allowed 1 import player. Got no problem with the wooden bats. Think it's a great idea. Got no problem with the import player. Love it. 9 innings, Don't know. A couple of years ago, I remember sitting here having a conversation with you or whoever it was, saying that they were changing it to 7 because everybody was saying 9 innings is too long. Because in senior baseball, let's be honest, you either get a blowout sometimes or you get one of those slow-paced games that goes on and can go into a 3.5, 4-hour game. People were saying, don't have time. Schedule just won't permit it. So they dropped it to 7 innings. What do you think about these rule changes? Well, let's start with the bats first.
I agree with going wooden bats. The Nova Scotia League's done that for the past 2 years. It's worked out great for them. The scoring's down. In Port, you have no problem. If you want one, you bring one in. I don't think it's going to help draw fans, though, to be honest.
No.
Going to 9 innings is a big mistake, in my opinion. 7-inning ball, some nights still too long. I know their thinking is if they get an import pitcher in every team and wooden bats, the games will move quicker because the scores will be lower. But there's no guarantee of that.
No.
I mean, I think they should have stuck to 7 innings. Maybe if they found after this year that the scoring was way down, the games were over, and now we're in 20 minutes or something.
Then change it.
Then change it back to 9 innings. But I think they jumped the gun on that one. They more or less copied everything the Nova Scotia League did down there. They went to 9 as well. But I just don't think it was necessary, really, to go, especially on a weeknight. These fellows all work, come down here from Moncton or Fredericton or Chatham to come down here to St. John, and you're going to be in the ballpark an extra hour, probably.
It's a long way to travel back and forth.
It really is,
Yeah, it makes for long nights. And, I mean, the new highways, they've done a great job with the 4 lanes and everything, but you don't want to be out there. Real quickly, I'll let you touch on NASCAR racing, because I know you watched it over the weekend, so the floor is yours. I'll try to keep my head up here.
Yeah, Tony Stewart won the race on the weekend in Homestead, Florida. He became the first rookie, I think, since Davey Allison to win 3 races in his rookie year, and Dale Jarrett finished 5th. He wrapped up the championship, and he sort of matches his father now, Ned Jarrett, who won 2 titles back in the late 60s. So I know, Jim, you were sitting right in the couch, pinned to the screen watching the excitement coming from Miami on that one.
Hey, man, I set the VCR. All I do is tape the first lap, and then I just run it over and over again. There's your first lap, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll see it again for the next 199 times. Could never figure out why anybody liked it, but people do, and I'm not taking a strip off you or anybody else, because I know Donnie back in the booth enjoys it too. So
NBC loves it now, don't they?
There you go. Everybody's jumping on the wagon. We're totally out of time. Thanks very much for your time, and thank you for your time. We certainly hope you have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you again next Monday. That's if I get out of here alive talking about NASCAR like that at 7 o'clock right here on TVNB. Have yourself a good week.